All right, we're live.
Good, thanks. Good evening, everyone. It's January 16th, 2024. It's 6:02 in the evening. This is a Weston Board of Education regular meeting. We were to hold this meeting in person. However, we decided late last week, in light of what was to be inclement weather, that it would be prudent to hold our meeting remotely. We will hold our February meeting, which was to be remote. We will hold that in person. And there will be two in-person recognitions for one of our Teachers of the Year and recognizing Board of Education member for her service on the board. So it was important to be able to meet in person, which we couldn't do tonight. So the first item on the agenda is a call to order and a verification of the quorum, which we have. The second is a pledge of allegiance. If we can all pledge allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, for liberty and justice for all. The third item on the agenda is approval of the minutes. And there are, wow.
Jody's been busy.
Yeah, Jody's been busy. Got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The first 3A's, the meeting minutes from the December 18th, 2023 Weston Board of Education executive session. Are there any changes or to those minutes? If not, can I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Hi, David. Is there a second?
Second.
A second.
Okay, all those in favor, please say aye or raise your
Aye.
hand. Aye.
Aye.
Item number 3B, the meeting minutes from the December 18th, 2023 Weston Board of Education regular meeting. Are there any changes to those minutes? May I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
Okay, all those in favor, please say aye or raise your hand.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Item number 3C, the meeting minutes from the January 4th, 2024 Weston Board of Education special meeting budget presentation. Any changes to those minutes? I see Sharon shaking her head. So Sharon, will you make a motion to approve?
I move that we approve, or so moved, since I don't have the language in front of me. Sorry.
All right, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, all those in favor? Aye.
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 Opposed? Item number 4 is 3D, meeting minutes from the January 5th, 2024 Weston Board of Education special meeting. It's the budget workshop. Any changes to those minutes? If not, may I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Great. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item number 5 is meeting minutes from the January 10th, 2024 Weston Board of Education special meeting, public forum number 1. Changes to those? I have a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second?
A second.
Great. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes. Number 4, Student Board of Education representative comments.
Hi,
Did they join us this
everyone.
evening?
It's just me today. Hi.
Hey, Janine. Hi.
Libby's not feeling too well, so she can't make it. But I just have a few updates. There's not too much going on, but just to start, it is midterms week, as many of you guys might know. So with the snow day, midterms are pushed back. They were supposed to end on Friday, but now they're going to end on Monday. So we get the weekend to study, which is good for us. But so yeah, this is an important week, especially for juniors and seniors. So it has been a little bit stressful. the first day of midterms, which was last week, Friday, the PTO handed out chocolate, which is really, really nice of them. And I know the students really appreciated it. So next up, we have our annual winter pep rally, which we call the Super Bowl, and that's being held on February 14th. It's 45 minutes long, and we announce our winter captains, we play games, and leading up to that pep rally, we have a food drive, and we're going to donate all of the food to either Person to Person or Operation Hope, which we haven't determined which one out of the two we're going to donate to yet. In addition to that, there's also winter sports still going on. A big initiative of student government has just been trying to increase school spirit. So with that, we're trying to increase attendance at a lot of these sports games, which I think has been going pretty well. We've had students go to away hockey games in Danbury, and so I just think that's something that's really cool. And lastly, for our musical, we have that coming up. Our musical this year is Mean Girls, and I know rehearsals for that have started. So just a few things to look forward to in February.
Great. Any questions for Gianna? Terrific. You can go back and study.
All right. Thank you so much. Have a good night.
Great. Item number 5 is public comment. Jody, would you read the rules surrounding public comment?
Yes, what I'm going to do is if you're interested in speaking for public comment, please click the raise your hand button at the bottom of your screen. Only click it one time, don't click it twice, because clicking it twice will take down the hand. Once I have the people up there, I will announce your name. I will promote you to a panelist. You're going to see a screen pop up, click select, and you'll be promoted to the panelist, and you will have the opportunity to speak. When you're promoted to a panelist, please make sure you turn your camera on, you state your full name and your street address. And I have
Great.
one individual, Brad Oren. I see that your hand is raised, so I'm going to promote you to a panelist now. Okay, Mr. Warren, I see that you're in the room. Can you turn your camera on and then state your name and your street address, and your 5 minutes will begin.
Board of Education, Superintendent Barbiero, Principal Canetta. My name is Brad Oren. I am a Weston resident living at 39 Silver Ridge Common with my wife Judith and our family. Our son was graduated this last year. We currently have 2 daughters at WIS, a senior and a junior. I am an ophthalmologist. Prior to my medical degree, I was graduated with a Bachelor of Arts degree in Modern Middle Eastern History. I am before you today because you have made available to all students at the high school an article from Gail Cengage, which is based upon falsehoods that are dangerous to my children. It's bad enough that these fictitious histories are used by Iran and the terrorists it sponsors. It is impossible to review every article present on the WIS database in real time. However, it is unconscionable that articles as dangerous as this can be made available, sponsored even indirectly by the Weston Public Schools with no oversight or known articles with true history for students to learn right from wrong. Gail Cengage was harshly criticized in 2009 for an anti-Semitic article written by an outside source. After an editorial review, they admitted that the article had not been properly screened and removed it. I have reviewed the current article with, and I represent, the leading Reform rabbi of Weston, who has children in the Weston schools, the Anti-Defamation League, the Jewish Federation, the Board of Trustees of Temple Israel, the parents of our high school children, many of whom with whom I have spoken. We would like a path to the following from the Board of Education. We would like the Gage article removed from the WPS databases or edited and fact-corrected. What do parents need to do to protect our kids from the harm these articles can inspire? We will work to make sure that Gail Cengage removes this biased article nationally. Until then, it must be removed from the Weston Public School database post haste. There is increasing anti-Semitism worldwide, and even in politics in Weston, we need to prevent any further events. We need to know how the administration of the schools and/or the board make curriculum decisions. How was it decided to pay my and other Weston residents' tax dollars to have Gail Cengage on our database, allowing for such dangerous articles, especially after Gail Cengage admitted to publishing anti-Semitic articles in the past? Do the students even need Gail? Is there not enough information available to students in libraries and online? Number 3, why are the databases available to WIS students not available to their parents for review? Why do I have to have one of my daughters sign in so that they can review with me what is recommended for research by the school system? To be clear, we are not arguing that this is a piece with opinions that are dangerous. We are arguing that it contains inaccurate history, powering the misinformed, virulent anti-Semitism in the US and around the world. It is a real and significant danger to us and to our children. I am no expert in what is best for protecting the school, and I will not comment on it here. What is clear to me, though, is that the school board can make a simple recommendation. Let me rephrase that. What seems clear to me, though, is that the school board can make a simple recommendation to Superintendent Barbiero to reduce tensions and the threat of school violence going forward, but especially during this time that the Palestinian and Israeli people are dying unnecessarily at the hands of Hamas, Hezbollah, and Iran. Remove this biased article, which lacks accuracy and inspires hate. It is bad for Palestinians, it is bad for Jews, and it is bad for the peace process. This is a school safety issue. I am not discussing what I believe to be a First Amendment issue. What myths does the article portray? The author of this article appears influenced by modern identity politics myths of Jews as an all-powerful majority, white European people who are dominating the world, oppressing people of color, and committing genocide. All is untrue. Let's look at these myths one at a time. Number 1, Jews as a powerful white European majority dominating the world. The majority of Jews in Israel were forced from Arab Muslim countries and Iran. Only 30% of Israelis are Caucasian. The rest are African Black Jews from East Africa, or, as my wife, North African Sephardic Jews. How pervasive is this myth in the world? I'd like to tell you a story. An Israeli soldier who, as a student, lived with us in Weston 3 years ago, was recently seeking the Israelis held by Hamas in Gaza with his IDF unit. A Hamas terrorist yelled at him without seeing him around a corner in the tunnels. "Go back to Poland." Interesting. The Israeli soldier's father's and mother's family were driven out of Algeria for being Jewish before there was a state of Israel. Jews are 1/5 of 1% of people in the world. They are 2.5% of Americans, some powerful majority. Number 2, Jews are white people who are not from the area where Israel is, have no rights to any land there.
Mr. Warren, your 5 minutes are up.
Dr. Warren, how much longer will you be?
Less than a minute.
Okay.
Please, go ahead.
Oppressing colored people, most Jews of Israel are from the same places as their Muslim brethren. Of note, a Jewish man was born in the West Bank about the year 0, hundreds of years before Islam existed. His name was Jesus. He was Jewish. He was born in Bethlehem in the West Bank. He rose to heaven from the Church of the Holy Sepulchre in Jerusalem. Jews persecute colored people. I suggest you investigate the story of James Chaney, Andrew Goodman, and Michael Schwerner, murdered in what was known as the Freedom Summer Murders. Chaney was a Black civil rights worker from Mississippi. Goodman and Schwerner were Jewish civil rights workers from New York. The 3 were murdered by the KKK and buried together in a shallow grave because Black lives matter. Finally, one must note that there are thousands of Black Jews serving and fighting Hamas and Hezbollah with pride for the Israel Defense Forces and flying for the Israeli Air Force while living in Israel, the only country where they have not faced anti-Semitism. Thank you for advancing my time, and thank you for taking action to protect my children. I look forward to next month's meeting.
Thank you,
Thank
Dr.
Mr.
Warren.
Warren. I'm going to move you back to a panelist now. Thank you. Is there anybody else that would like to speak? Please raise your hand. I believe that was our only individual.
Thanks, Jody.
Mhm.
Item number 6 is recognition. Lisa, you,
Yes, thank you, Steve. This actually came up when we were responding to one of the workshops regarding blue ribbon schools. And at that time, we had explained that the Weston Intermediate School had also been designated as a school of distinction. So we thought that it would be appropriate to recognize it formally at this board meeting. I would like Principal of Weston Intermediate School, Patty Fauber, to please speak to it, because I know that she and her staff are very proud of this honor. Patty?
Great, thank you so much. I am really proud to be here tonight to talk about how the Intermediate School was identified as a school of distinction based on high performance and high growth of all students in ELA and math for the 2022-2023 school year. Just so you understand where this comes from, the state of Connecticut uses a system called the Next Generation Accountability System, which helps tell the story of how schools are doing in preparing students for success in school and for college and beyond. The system uses a broad set of 12 indicators that go beyond test scores to provide a multi-factor, more holistic perspective of school performance and student growth over time. Each school receives scores on pertaining indicators, which are then used to evaluate, among other things, their eligibility for this type of award. So we received an award in highest performance, that performing distinction. In order to make that happen, we had to be in the top 10% of schools to be eligible in the state, and we could not have any outliers in achievement gaps in ELA, math, or science. And we also were recognized for highest growth of all of our students in math and ELA. You can be recognized for just math or just ELA, or students that have high needs for math or science, but we've received it for all of our students. So we are really proud of all of our students and our staff for all their hard work in being able to get this recognition.
Thank you, Patty.
Thank you.
any questions or comments from the board to Principal Fauber?
I have one
Going
comment.
f-
I have
Yeah,
one
go-
comment. I think it's very important that you share this information at board meetings. I think it's wonderful to let the community and also the Board of Education know about these wonderful things happening. So much of the time we spend time focused on the minutia and the nitty-gritty of what keeps things functioning, but this really is about what we're trying to do is the uber goal, which is to help our kids excel. So I think it's an incredibly important communication message. So thanks for taking the time to tell us and the community. Thank you, and good work.
Thank you.
I
Anyone
actually
else?
want to, I want to follow up and say exactly what Chad said. Thank you so much for sharing it. We get a lot of grief sometimes, saying that our schools are not performing well, and that's clearly not the case. So thank you so much, Patty. We appreciate it. Great job.
Thanks.
If
We're
I can
going-
add, I'm sorry, Steve, if I can add, I think the important thing is that, it's great to achieve certain targets as far as performance, but Patty spoke to growth, and that is equally important.
Yeah.
That's kind of the qualitative piece where we want all students to grow. And that's an important part of this distinction that I think is worth mentioning. So well done.
Yeah, well done. We're going to make a point of making sure that everyone knows, the board and certainly the public, when things like this take place. I mean, there's a lot of really great things going on. And we should use time in our meetings to make sure that the whole community is aware of that. And this is just one, but a very major indication of the quality of education and, in our town. Let's move on to old business, which is a discussion of the fiscal year 25 budget.
If I can just start with a couple of highlights, if that's helpful.
Yeah.
Today we the administrative team, and I want to thank everyone, finished the document for the second workshop that also included many of the themes of the questions from the public forum that we had. We tried to be as thorough as possible with this. That document is posted on the website, correct, Mrs. Saketa, under the budget. So you have the budget, and then you have supplemental materials, the first document, and now the second document is there. So sorry. And at the end of this agenda, you will see that our next public forum, I just want to draw attention to that, is Thursday, January 18th. We then have another Board of Ed special meeting on Monday, January 22nd. And there will be a vote on this budget January 23rd, Tuesday. If we need an extra day to provide more clarification, it could go to Thursday. And now I would just open it up if there's anything else that anyone wishes to discuss.
I just want to point out, in addition to the questions that the board submitted, and they were, there were a number of questions from all the members of the board. We also had questions, and some in quite detail, from members of the public, which the administration has addressed as well and posted on the Board of Education's school website. So it's there. We have one more session coming up. I would encourage anyone in the public to attend and to ask questions. Any questions or comments from the board so far? We still have more to do, but another couple of weeks. Okay. Shall we move on to new business? The new business 8A, discussion and vote on the approval of an overnight field trip to Greece and Italy. Can we go
Yes,
tonight?
this is for the next school year, and I'd like to turn it over to Dr. Henkel, who will take us through this proposed field trip.
Thank you, Lisa. At our curriculum and instruction committee meeting, we had Dan Passarelli, who is the leader of the field trip, who is organizing and coordinating the field trip. You have attached to the agenda this evening a series of historical activities that the members of the team that it will be attending in Greece and Italy. Again, as Lisa said, this request and planning is really for the year 2025. As you probably are aware, flights and transportation does require us to plan ahead so that we can get the best cost for our students and our families. And so the itinerary and the outline of the events has been included in the agenda this evening so that you can see some of those aspects of the trip. And ultimately, it has been reviewed at the subcommittee meeting in detail when Dan presented. The request is to begin the initial process of planning for the students for 2025. Megan, did you want to add anything else as well?
You're on mute.
Sorry, you're muted.
Sorry. Should know
Sorry.
better by now. No, just that they're eager for the next trip. They had such a wonderful trip and itinerary last time, so they're on to the next to provide these awesome opportunities for our students.
Are there questions from the board? No?
Yes. Can I go?
Yeah. Yeah, sorry.
I want to be a Weston High School senior or a junior at that time.
Yeah.
That sounds like a fantastic trip. I'm really looking forward to seeing what they have planned for the kids.
Anyone else?
Us as well. Just one little sidebar. I think Chad asked this a while, maybe last year when we were talking about international field trips and overnight field trips. When the students return, we are going to have them kind of share some of their experiences. As you mentioned, Steve, trying to go public and talk about some of those historical aspects of their trip and their experiences. So Megan, Principal Canetta and I will work together with Dan Passarelli to coordinate some of the highlights so they can come present either here or at the subcommittee meeting that we run monthly as well on Tuesdays.
That's
So
great.
thank you for that idea.
It's really good. David, you unmuted yourself. You
Oh, no, I heard about this in curriculum. It's fantastic. So I unmuted myself in error, or I'll do the motion.
okay? You can make a motion.
It's a great trip. Move that the Weston Board of Education approve the overnight field trip to Greece and Italy.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
There we go. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. The next item is 8B, acceptance of the WIS PTO donation to update and improve the WIS production room. This donation has a proposed value of $2,556.46.
That's correct. When we have a gift that's between $1,000 and $3,000, I need to approve it as superintendent, and you as the Board of Ed need to formally accept it. So I do approve this, and that's why we brought it forward. I would ask, again, Ms. Fauber from the intermediate school to speak a little bit about that. But before she does, I think the important thing to note is that this is also supports the vertical articulation of this kind of videography program, starting at the intermediate school, then going to the middle school with their morning show, and then on to the high school where we have a full-blown videography program. Ms. Fauber.
Yes, this is exciting. Our morning show has really blossomed and grown over the last couple of years, and it's really become an integral part of opening our day every day at the intermediate school. Shelley Reines has taken over really producing the morning show. And as I said, we have our fifth graders who are hosting every morning, and they're doing a great job. But with this grant, what we're looking to do is to sort of grow the role of our fifth graders so that they can become producers and directors. The equipment is all very much age appropriate, works with the Chromebooks, and it really just expands their abilities and their talents to really take over the morning show, even more than just hosting. So we're really looking at this new exciting step in this program. And I do believe, as Lisa said, I think it really is a perfect step towards really getting them ready for the middle school and all that they'll be doing for the morning show up there.
Exciting.
So you need
Any
to formally
questions?
accept it.
Yeah. So can I have a motion?
I'll do it. I move that the Weston Board of Education accept the WIS PTO donation to update and improve the WIS production room with a proposed value of $2,556.46.
That's great. Is there a second?
Second.
Great. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Terrific. Let's move on to district updates. Lisa?
Yes, I'd like to turn it over to Dr. Asmussen, our Director of HR, to review our consent agenda. Paul, please.
Thank you very much. I'll be kind of going through, starting with resignation and going on to new hires. My first kind of acknowledgement is to our resignation of Stephen Cavallo. We're very sad about this, but we're also very excited because he actually is moving on. He's actually moving on to moving abroad and going to Paris. He walked around. We were very sad, but also very happy for him as he goes off to his new life adventure. From moving on for that, we'll be bringing in William Bounds. He is our district new IT data analyst. He'll be coming in starting in the 1st of February. He comes to us with a BA in cybersecurity from Southern New Hampshire University. He's also had experience in Shelton and also in Fairfield. So we're really excited for him to kind of come on and take on this new opportunity. We also have a new head lacrosse coach, Connor Shanahan. He'll be starting in the spring. And lastly, we have brought on, starting on January 5th, is Jim Potenziani, who is our floater, our district security specialist. Jim comes in from numerous years of experience within school security. He has experience in Norwalk at the elementary level. And also he had 4 years of experience as the security supervisor at Danbury High School. So again, we welcome him as we as we fill those positions. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Paul. Any questions for Paul? Lisa?
Next is the
May I-
superintendent.
Excuse me, before I interrupt you, may I just have a motion to accept the consent agenda, please?
Oh,
I'm
we
sorry.
always forget. Thank you.
I'll
always
do it
forget.
quickly. I
Yeah.
move that the Weston Board of Education accept the consent agenda as presented.
Oh, may I have a second?
Second.
All
Thank
those
you.
in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Great. Lisa?
Oh, sorry. I'm actually checking our superintendent's email because the first update is please stay tuned for tomorrow morning. There's predicting a lot of freezing going on overnight. There are a couple of schools I'm not at liberty to announce that are already delaying along the coast, and we will be staying tuned. The procedure is usually Mike Del Mastro and I speak, and the superintendent's starting at 3:45 in the morning. So again, we send out blasts. Please stay tuned with regards to tomorrow morning. The next thing that I wanted to give another shout out to really quickly is that the high schoolers talked about the company theater, and I want to give a shout out to the SpongeBob musical, correct? Dan Doak, 4th Weston Middle School. Mark your calendars. It's the last weekend of January. SpongeBob the musical sounds like it will be a great show for all. And finally, I'd like to turn this back over to Dr. Henkel, Mr. Doak, and Ms. Canetta, who are going to talk about our Holocaust Remembrance Day, which coincidentally is at the end of the month along with the musical.
Great. Thank you, Lisa. I'll start. We are excited to be honoring and recognizing International Holocaust Remembrance Day next Friday, January 26th. All of our secondary students throughout the day will have the opportunity to hear from 3 compelling guest speakers. 2 of our guest speakers, the 2 women at the top, are actually Holocaust survivor, 2 children of Holocaust survivors, and the third is a direct Holocaust survivor himself. All of our speakers will share stories of perseverance in the face of persecution and genocide. And in preparation for the presentations, middle school students will engage in a mini lesson in their social studies class in preparation for the guest speakers and the stories that they will be telling. Teachers will provide students with historical context for the talks and emphasize the importance of learning from the experience of others. For our 10th graders specifically, this is an excellent opportunity to personalize what they have learned already about in the Holocaust in their modern world studies courses. And our Holocaust Remembrance Day program will provide all students with an opportunity to reflect on the importance of making good choices and being good citizens and upstanders in their daily lives. I just want to end and conclude by saying thank you to our 3 guest speakers for taking the time. On behalf of Weston Public Schools, the Board of Ed, and the entire Weston community, we want to really thank them publicly for taking the time out of their day to come and share their experiences with our students. We know that this day is very important to us, and we really honor them and honor the experience that they had. Megan or Dan, if you wanted to add anything.
If I could just add briefly, I want to thank Shara Kaladny, who is one of our English language arts teachers and a resident in Weston, who helped us connect with Bobby and Renee as potential speakers, and Nick Torres, who was our curriculum instructional leader for social studies grades 6-12, really took this work on and has made so many of the connections and the preparations, and worked with his teachers to help, at least at the middle school, I know, give them the foundation to really be prepared to benefit from this presentation on Friday, the 26th of January. And then, of course, we also have James Acousti, our our technician at the middle school, and Helen Knudsen, our library media specialist, who have also been playing an integral role in helping us organize for this day. And I maybe will turn it over to Megan Canetta, because I know there's something special planned for the high school once they leave the middle school in the morning.
Thank you. We are really honored to welcome our presenters at the high school. And I want to also thank Nick Torres, our curriculum and instruction leader for the social studies, and Jennifer Klein, who had Mr. Sarkany in her classroom in a small group last year as part of a class that she was teaching last year. So she was able to make that connection for us. And we are really honored that Mr. Sarkany is going to do some work in smaller groups in our library on Holocaust Remembrance Day. So we have many of our 10th grade students who are going to have that experience, and we're going to offer that experience to all of our 10th graders. And we have other opportunities, as Dan and Tina mentioned, with Bobby and Renee in our auditorium, that during our periods 5 and 8, teachers can opt to bring their classes to those experiences as well. So there are a lot of moving parts in the high school and the periods, and given the emotionality of these presentations too, we really wanted to maintain a level of intimacy for the folks who are coming to share their stories as well. And we felt like that was really important. So we're hoping to offer this experience to as many of our high school students as possible. Also understanding that some may not have the experience, but we're really honoring Holocaust Remembrance Day in an intimate way for our presenters to share their stories.
Yeah, thank you, Megan. Just to add one final piece and draw some attention, especially for our middle schoolers. I mentioned that in preparation of those guest speakers, Nick really did an outstanding job of creating mini lessons and small group conversations for the teachers to engage in some of that pre-conversation before the guest speakers arrive. So we feel that there's additional context before the stories are told, so that they are prepared for any of the emotion that may come with the conversation. So thank you both. We look forward to the day. Thank you, Lisa.
Thank you. Next, we have, I believe, an update from our Director of Pupil Personnel Services, Ms. Edwards. Tracy?
Wait, Lisa, before we shift topics, can I ask a question about Holocaust?
Yeah, sorry.
Save that for the
Go ahead.
end.
No, you can ask. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I'm just rather impressed. I don't know what the timeline was to put this together, but boy, oh boy, does it seem like having that level of I don't know what the right word is. It's not expertise, but first-person experience. Expertise is a terrible word to use, but first-person experience of this. Like, my goodness, what a powerful session that will likely be. The reason I wanted to mention this is because it brings me to a question, which is, obviously this is an event that occurs once a year, meaning Holocaust Remembrance Day. And I know David Felton in particular has been talking about this in curriculum, about how are we teaching this subject matter at the various levels within WPS. So my question really is, given the level of care, and I can imagine the power of what this may be, it might be smart to ask ourselves, what are we doing on an annual basis? Meaning, I completely recognize that there's focus on keeping this intimate. So I'm not sure that a bunch of video cameras are the right idea, but it's all too painful a reality that many of the people who lived through this historic period are, just because of how math works, there's fewer and fewer direct Holocaust survivors who are still alive. And that becomes only more true each year. So I'm just suggesting, given the amount of clearly pretty incredible resourcing that has gone into creating what could be a very powerful event, maybe we should put an eye towards, are there threads of this, excerpts of this, things like that could be carried through the years, because it would probably be a pretty important legacy to our curriculum if there's a way to capture some of this. I don't know what that vehicle or approach would be necessarily, but I just want to flag it because the 26th is coming up soon.
Yeah, it's a good point. We talked about this is the first year that we've expanded these experiences all the way down to 6th grade. We have a series of small group conversations per grade level throughout the day, starting at 7:45 in the morning and running all the way to 2:30 in the afternoon. We can have a discussion whether or not we think it's worth recording some of those sessions. And I don't know if Dan was nodding his head in that conversation, if that was part of the plan as well. I don't want to offer it up yet, just because I'm not sure the comfort level with the guest speakers and if we included them in that conversation, if that was part of our plan. I didn't see that in our schedule, but it looks like maybe Dan and Megan, maybe we could talk with Nick about maybe recording some of the small group conversations or presentations.
Yeah, if I may add, I think this is a wonderful thing. When I was principal and in our course Facing History and Ourselves, which Megan alluded to, we used to have survivors and unfortunately come and speak. And unfortunately, there are not as many survivors yet, but we do have to check because I just remember one did not want to be filmed and one did. So I think that we need to see what the comfort level is of that because to Megan's point, I remember I would always go and it is very emotional. So I would recommend that we check with them because you do want to capture kind of that oral history while we still have it.
Yeah,
Dan,
I'm not suggesting a video is a great idea necessarily. It's just the only thing I could think of. But
yeah, exactly.
you all could probably think of better methods or better tools.
Yeah, I don't know. Dan, did you want to say something?
Yes, I just want to share that this isn't exactly new at the middle school. We have had Holocaust survivors speak in the past. I think with COVID, things got a little disrupted. And as people have mentioned, our survivors are in an advanced age where they're no longer able to come. But prior to COVID, we did have Holocaust speakers come through a bureau. It was actually a connection through the ADL, and it was very well received. So we have had this in the middle school. This is a different approach now with children of survivors who are carrying on the work of their parents and telling the stories.
Great. So we'll follow up on that and see how we can memorialize the day so that we can retain that experience for future years. And Dan, was it every grade in the past before COVID that it had the experience with the guest speaker, or was it maybe just like 8th grade or something because of the alignment to the social studies curriculum?
It was sometimes just one grade, sometimes 2 grades. It was also based on the stamina of our speaker and how much she was able to do.
Yeah, I think that's not taking anything away. I think that was our messaging was really about trying to expand to more than just the upper grades and thinking about 6th and 7th grade as well. So thank you.
Thanks, Tina.
Tracy.
Good evening, everybody. Just a quick update for tonight. We held a parent meeting at the end of December. We provided an overview of the special education process from birth to 3 to post-secondary, and I just wanted people to know that the meeting recording is available on our website under the Pupil Services Special Education tab.
Great. Questions for Tracy? Then we will move on to finance and operations. Phil?
Hello, everyone. I just want to report on a month-to-month change for the report. And in December, is it December? Yes, December. So for the month of a month change, we are looking at approximately a $419,000 change, primarily driven by a few changes in salaries. We had 2 major change in benefits. There was a downward adjustment to our CMERS contribution rate, which went from a budgeted 19.57% to a 15.85%. So again, there was a few changes to that. Just to give some background, we had originally budgeted for fiscal year 24 an 18.26% contribution rate. In March, the Comptroller's Office informed us that the rate would be approximately 19.57%. And then in June, we were informed of the 15.85% change. So we do anticipate seeing a savings of approximately $254,000. We also had changes in sped transportation due to some changes in placement. We will see savings for transportation. We also do anticipate some savings for athletic transportation. You will recall that in fiscal year 22-23, we had some issues with due to driver shortages, and we needed to use a third party provider for transportation. For the first half of the year, we have been fortunate that for a student, we're able to cover most of those charges, and we're releasing some of that money for transportation. Those are really the main drivers of the surplus of the change. This will bring our projected surplus for the year to approximately $657,000. I have also provided an outline or a quick summary of all the makeup of all the drivers for the surplus with relevant offsets.
Thanks, Phil. Questions from anyone on the board?
I have a couple of questions.
Sure.
Phil, we had talked at one of our budget meetings, I don't recall last week or the week before, that you were looking at about $300,000 surplus. Is this new? So this is an addition to 300,000?
Correct, David. So last meeting we were at 300, and then the changes that we're outlining here will pretty much add to that.
And that's at about 400 and change?
418.
418. Okay. So at the moment we're running a $718,000 surplus for the year.
657.
Okay, I thought it was 3. Okay.
It's gonna fluctuate, David. So it's not as if it's gonna be accumulative every single month, because I do know that beginning in January we will have some changes there. So it will fluctuate month over month.
Okay. So at the moment it's 650, give or take.
Give or take.
Okay.
I just have a quick question, Phil. I know I've taken a look at this. I'm trying to just, again, understand the cadence here and how this works going through this for the first time. I know last month we had talked about it, and you said, look, there are some unfavorables coming down the pike here. And so we anticipate that there would be a balanced budget by the end of the year. Given sort of the update now, is it still your opinion that it will be balanced by the end of the year? Or are we predicting here or anticipating that there would actually be a surplus at the end of the year?
So given where we are right now, I do anticipate that there will be a surplus.
And do you have any initial projections as to what that may be, the magnitude of that? Obviously, I'm not going to hold you to it, but
no, absolutely no. For right now, it's a little bit difficult to tell. We do have some changes, that we do and that we do have. We have had some changes in staff, so I know we'll be adding individuals, for example, to health insurance. I think we'll maybe adding a +3. We haven't seen the invoices yet for the fiber repairs. In addition to that, we have had a major repair to one of our large piece of equipment for our grounds department. So all in all, it's a little bit difficult to tell where we will be. There's always those unknowns, right? And so it's really difficult to tell. By the end of March, I think I mentioned last month that we'll truly have a better sense as to where we'll be at the end of March. But with a surplus of $657,000, in addition to the other funds that we have, I am fairly confident that we will end with a surplus.
Anyone else? Can I have a motion to approve?
I can do that. Move that the Weston Board of Education approve the fiscal year 24, December 2023 financial update as presented.
Is there a second?
I second.
Thanks, Sharon. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Motion passes. The next, Phil, is review and approval of the technology lease bid.
Right, so we don't know, we have a few new members of the board. So maybe 2 years back, the board did decide to maybe 3 years back, really, that we were going to sort of kind of establish a technology fund. And the way we decided to do that was via the way of leasing equipment. So this is our second year of leasing. Fiscal 22-23 was the first year, and then our current fiscal year. So we did do an RFP. We had 4 respondents, 4 banks responded, or 4 financing company responded. First American, KS State Bank, Tech Lease, and Peak Solution. The lowest in terms of a finance rate was First American, coming in at 5.39%. So the range was 5.39 to 8.99%. So we are recommending that we do award this lease to First American. And just to point out that First American was also the company that financed our first round of leasing.
Quick question from me. It's a wide range, Phil. I guess my question is the reason for that wide range. Usually these things are a little bit tighter. I guess is there a difference in terms of, should we know about, is there anything that we should be aware about with respect to more restrictive debt covenants for one versus the other that would handcuff us in the future?
Sure.
And then my second question is, I guess, was the criteria for selecting First American just that we had used them before and that they have the lower rate, or are there other considerations that you guys have evaluated?
Sure. So in terms of restrictive covenant, there will not be any restrictive covenants as it relates to the lease itself. And really, the primary reason for selecting the whoever it is that will be using it for the lease is really driven by the rate. Because the higher the rate, the more money we will ultimately pay in terms of finance charges and stuff like that. So our main criteria is firstly the ease. How easy is it to enter into a contract with the vendors? For a few vendors, it's quite onerous, in terms of the documents that they do require to establish a lease. Last year, was our first year with First American, and based on what I've heard with previous financing company, it was definitely much easier going with First American.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, it just seemed, obviously, if that's the only consideration, it seemed obvious. And I was thinking that, maybe there was something else here that we were evaluating, but if it's that straightforward, then of course that's the right decision. Thanks.
Yeah. Welcome.
Anybody else? Can I have a motion to approve the technology lease as presented?
So moved.
Second? Thanks, David. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. We'll move on to communicate.
Steve, real
Yeah.
quick, just by way of information. So we do have one more step with the overall approval process. We do need to present this to the Board of Selectmen,
Board of
Selectmen.
Yeah, Board of Selectmen, right.
Which we will be doing on Thursday for final approval, because ultimately the Board of Finance needs to sign off on the lease itself.
Yeah. Thanks. Committee reports, Communications Committee.
We don't have a report. We skipped our January meeting, but we hopefully will reconvene in February with an update from the attorney. So I don't know, actually, Lisa, if that's something you can check in with.
Yes, I will. I'll check David, and then I'll be in touch with you. Okay, so we can prepare the agenda. Jody, please make a note of that. Thank you.
Thanks, David. CABE.
No updates from CABE.
Thanks, Bernie. CES.
No updates from CES.
Curriculum Committee.
Sorry, my I was muted. We do have January updates. We had 2 big discussion points in our last meeting. The first one was an update to the high school course request process, which was really exciting because it's designed to empower student choice, but also make sure that the students have the coaching and the support to make good choices as they pick their courses going forward. The other big agenda item was as we continue to focus on math performance, there is going to be a K-5 piloting program of specific resources around potential programs we can go forward with in the math department.
Terrific.
And just
Questions?
to clarify, Bernie, it's grades 1 to 5.
Questions for Bernie? Peter, the EOC?
The EOC will meet Friday morning as posted on a calendar. The agenda, I guess, we posted for guidelines. And here's the teaser. It's that we'll be presented some in-depth analysis on the disposition of robot in middle school. So for those interested.
You're leaving us hanging.
Oh, totally. I mean, this is the only thing I got about all night. So I'm just dangling it out there.
Whoa. News at 11. Finance and Operations Committee, we met. You've heard the financial review from Phil and Mike Domastro. Just reviewed some things that are going on in the facilities, but nothing of note. Negotiations Committee, I don't believe there are any negotiations going on now. Policy Committee, Sharon?
Yeah, we actually met, and this is the first time we've met with the new policy committee. And basically what we did was we established what sort of policies we were going to start focusing on. Primarily, most of them have to do around the AI integration into our current and existing policies and how we're going to work on that. And what else do we do? Retention of records. We said we're going to take a look at that, and also our residency policy. So we're just kind of digging in. We just basically, like I said, set the agenda for the remainder of the year.
Great, thanks. And WEF?
WEF. Oh yeah. Okay. So WEF had a really successful fundraiser with the Harlem Wizards, and they are now currently trying to raise funds through their annual fundraising drive. So if you have that envelope sitting around your house, they're asking you to throw a few shekels in there and mail it in, because that would be very helpful. And they're a really great organization with just like the heart in the right place, and they try to do their best to really help enhance the education for the kids here in Weston as best they can. I know they're also thinking of they're trying to be creative for next year on some new fundraising ideas. So they've got a group together to do that. And they're focusing on their year-end awards, which I think all of our students and faculty will appreciate. So they've been busy, but they're doing a great job. Did I miss anything, Tina? All right.
So the next item is the next scheduled meeting of the Board of Education. They're all listed here. Just important to note what Lisa outlined earlier about the upcoming budget meetings, and that we'll be holding our next board meeting in person in February. Anything else we should be discussing?
Just, I want to remind everyone, if we're going to delay, we most likely will announce this evening. There is a real concern about it being 17 degrees tomorrow and the ability to de-ice the buses in time. So stay tuned.
You can't get any sort of update. I'm in Palm Beach right now
You're in Palm Beach, David?
with my little guy, Patty.
All right, David, there's the update right there. Get out.
Do I have to get him back?
Well,
no,
we
you
are
just
all
have to-
freezing here and it's very cold. And as I said, there is a concern. So we most likely will be announcing it in a little bit. I'm still collaborating with my superintendent friends.
Yeah, enjoy your shorts, David. They're not going to last once you get back here.
Yeah.
We'll head to the airport.
Just
probably
one
can't
other
get back.
thing. One other thing, we are finalizing the date for the executive session on safety and security that will take place most likely February 1st, more to follow. Our next meeting will have it. I know we did a doodle poll to see about people's availability, so
Great.
we're on that too. Okay,
Good.
thank you.
Thank you. So may I have a motion to adjourn?
I so move a record Board of Ed time.
You have to stay on, David. That's your penance for being upon. Can I have a second?
I second.
All those in favor?
Aye.